With this book, I thought I might have cried my eyes out, but I didn't quite get there, but it was still absolutely brilliant. What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be giving my spoiler-free review of Flowers for Algernon, written by Daniel Keyes, published in 1966. I have to tell you guys, this book has the potential to be a top contender for my book of the year. That's how much I enjoyed this book. I absolutely loved it, and I reckon you will too. Alright, so let's start with what the book is about, taken from the back cover. Charlie Gordon has an IQ of just 68. He is a floor sweeper at his local bakery and has been for the last 17 years, and has also been the gentle butt of everyone's jokes until an experiment in the enhancement of human intelligence turns him into a genius. But then Algernon, the mouse whose triumphal experimental transformation preceded his, fades, and Charlie has to face the possibility that his salvation was only temporary. Okay, so where do I start with this? There is so much I really enjoyed about the book, but some parts of the book disturbed me as well. So I think how the story is formatted, first of all, that I'll talk about, is a stroke of genius. It's told through the point of view of Charlie via several different types of media. We have Charlie writing progress reports at the beginning of the experiment, and it goes right through to diary entries towards the end of the book. Now I think this is a stroke of genius how this has been done, because the early progress reports are written by Charlie's hand when he is mentally challenged and has a major disability with intellect, and the initial progress reports are filled with syntax, grammar and spelling errors, which when you're starting to read the book, it's actually slow to get through, because you are navigating your way through all those errors. And then eventually, in a very, very smooth sequence, Daniel Keyes smooths it all out, because the progress reports and diary entries become a lot more clearer and a lot more intelligent, in line with Charlie's progression through the experiment. I found that absolutely brilliant. I've never read anything like it in that particular format in a novel before, so I thought that was a brilliant way to tell Charlie's story. It seemed to fit very, very well with chronicling Charlie's life and his challenges and triumphs through this experiment. One of the most heartbreaking events in this book is where Charlie's co-workers at the bakery laugh at him and tease him, and in the beginning Charlie thinks they're laughing with him, and it's not until much later, as Charlie's intelligence grows, that he becomes aware that he has been the butt of everyone's jokes, and the cruelty that's inflicted on him with his emotions and picking on his disability. I found that very sad, that Charlie thought that they were being his friends, but in fact they weren't. And as Charlie's intelligence grows and surpasses his co-workers, he eventually becomes a threat to them, and we start to see how alienating this experiment results, with Charlie being isolated and cut off from everyone, because he cannot cope with the intelligence. At the very beginning, he advances very quickly. He learns new languages. He learns to read lots of books in a very short space of time. And that part of it's fine. That actually grows and makes him a lot more enhanced and superior to everyone else in the end. But despite this intelligence, he cannot cope with complex emotions that he needs to experience as an intellectual adult in the community, and exploring complex relationships is very, very difficult for him, and he has a tendency to lash out as a result. So there are very much there are advantages to the experiment, and then there are severe disadvantages as well. Okay, the terms in the book, this was banned in Canada, certain areas of Canada and several US states, because of the terminology used in the book. At that time, certain labels and things like that were very used. They were very derogatory and very cruel, and I won't use any of those labels here. You'll need to read for that yourself, but yeah, it's very difficult to read about with the terms that are thrown around. Now, Charlie's upbringing in this book as a child is very heart-wrenching and heartbreaking. It's just very, very sad to read about. And don't get me started on his mother and sister and his poor dad that was caught in the middle of the crossfire. It's just absolutely terrible. So, I mean, with this book, Charlie's character arc is very, very smooth. It goes up and then down, and there's some heartbreaking moments in this book that had me misting up, but I didn't quite get to the teary stage. I might get to the teary stage if I read it again in the future, but it was still very heart-wrenching and touching at the same time. And this is just such a fine example of how such a short book can pack a real gut punch, very much like Of Mice and Men that did the same thing to me. How can a book so short have such a major impact on you and tug on your heartstrings and play with your emotions like that? I think it was absolutely remarkable, and for me, this was a real bucket list read. If you haven't picked this up, I suggest you do ASAP, because it is a phenomenal read, and I think Daniel Keyes was absolutely brilliant. I've never read anything like this. As I mentioned earlier in this review, the format was groundbreaking. I'd never read anything like it. So I can't praise the book enough. I have nothing negative to say about the book. I think the length was perfect for the type of story that was told, and really cannot fault this book. And it will be high on the list in my end of year wrap up. So there you go, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you've read the book, let me know what you thought of it, and let's compare notes. Offer up any feedback below in the comments, and I'll always engage and respond to those. But until the next video, guys, I'll see you later.